music.
Party's not a party's a man who fights crime, and we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat
Minute! Greetings, citizens of Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns, the show that ain't served cold. This is hot, hot, hot. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And I am the other host, Niall McGowan. I was going to try to think of something off the cuff. I was like, well, it could be clever to say. I was like, soup. I don't know.
It's the soup episode, people. Soup. But we're going to get to that. Because we do.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to those butts. We have a very special guest who's going to blow those butts away. We have Rat-Bit Kit's one and only Kit Flemons.
The service here is terrible. I've been waiting for this soup for days.
Oh, it's gone cold. Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry about that.
Robbed my joke from your last episode.
I'm a thief.
That's the thing, though, because this is like Kit, of course, deliberately chosen for this week because you got us through over the hump of the soup week in the first movie of Vicky Vale and Bruce Wayne eating that friggin', I don't know what the hell we decided it was, like oxtail or some sort of insanely scorching broth that looked like it was just made of steam. It was that friggin' hot.
Yeah, I would say it was brothy, whereas this soup you're going to see in a minute is thicker. It's more creamy.
I mean, because that was exceptionally hot-looking stuff as well. Maybe there is a little story of, like, Bruce Wayne said to Alfred, that soup was too hot. And then this one now, he's like, he likes his soups cold. I know that's
the Goldilocks soup coming up in your next.
Goldie Bet.
I just see this is going to be, like, a deleted scene from Batman Forever of, like, Bruce Wayne having the soup and just been like, oh, Alfred, this soup is perfect. He's like, finally.
Yes, I can die happy.
That's the thing, though. We have to try to think of any food-related minutes that come up that get you in, because I don't think there's any soup in Batman Forever.
Oh no, I'm not covering that movie if there's no soup.
Shift my loyalties to a different podcast, or they?
No, there is I do believe when, and it's actually a big friggin' scene, but there is a bit where Drew Barrymore and Sugar and Spice, Two-Face's like hench wenches, are trying to offer him food. I remember like one of them's like a creamy, dreamy lemon souffle and stuff like that. So if you have any interest in lemon souffles, perhaps you could come back and cover. I believe he's also offered a charred heart of black boar. So maybe
my diet consists only of podcast food. It's a bit like freeganism, except it's exclusively from podcasts.
That will be one to try to step up, though, for next year. Because, again, not to spoil the end of this episode, I guess might as well, because it's this episode. But we may have the soup that is in question in this minute. And we may, in fact, be able to try it live.
Yeah, I'm just going to say
I have eaten it already.
Yes, one of us has ruined the whole concept by eating the soup because he was hungry.
You gave me soup. What was I supposed to do?
It gave you soup with specific instructions, like, we are going to eat this soup on air.
Don't take instructions when it comes to soup. It's
oh well, if you guys are all excited for that, you're living your best life. You should all be thrilled. We're going to eat soup and tell you about it. Life can't get any better.
But that's the thing now, though. If we do it for this movie, that means for Batman Forever, it's like, I'm going to have to get someone to make charred heart of black boar, and the lemon souffle and stuff.
I love that. Give me the souffle.
It's like, no, I'm going to kill and char that boar myself
by hand. Oh, I should really introduce the minute. This is minute 39, and the minute starts with Danny DeVito grunting at us, and it ends with the world's fattest man not grunting. So we are back with the Penguin for a second here in the Hall of Records. And yes, he's grunting away in a rather disturbing fashion and doing his list of names.
Thing I know from editing myself, I've become very aware of my own verbal tics. I've not done anything to try to rectify them. I've just become like anxious when I hear them. I'm like, oh, I should really stop doing that. But I do know from when people are talking, I'm always constantly going, and maybe the audience wouldn't pick up on it because I do edit a lot of them out because I can't stand listening to them myself. But I'm now, in looking at the Penguin here, I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not this bad. Because like imagine hanging out with this guy where he's just, all he's doing is sitting reading and writing, but he's having to go.
Does that mean you're also very aware of all your guests' vocal tics?
Oh yeah, well, that's the thing though. Because I'm just so like focused on myself. I'm just like, they all sound perfect in comparison to me. So
thank God for social anxiety.
Starting this episode off with a massive dose of stage fright.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's the end of the week anyway, so
it's Friday. But the Penguin here, he's very intent, isn't he? And I love the visual because he's got that expression, and you get a really good close up of the makeup. You can really take it in, although his nose does look kind of fake. But I'll let them off with that.
I like his eyeshadow. I suppose it's not supposed to be eyeshadow. It's supposed to be his natural good looks, but it's not too dissimilar to my own makeup.
No, I'm actually very jealous of this eyeshadow. There's some nice blending. It's blended very well.
It does very much like he's made up a bit like an old fashioned corpse though as well. Like you imagine like way back when they're like, oh yes, when we prepared the corpse for you, and just like put a little white makeup on
and a prosthetic nose.
If I die, promise me, you two, I will be put in the coffin with a prosthetic nose.
Isn't there an episode of It's Always Sunny where like Frank hires, is when he's putting on the children's pageant.
Oh.
And he hires like a funeral director to do his makeup for him.
That's one of the best ones.
I have to try to see if there's actually like any kind of, does he look at all like the Penguin when he has all that stuff on?
A little bit, yeah. But he's too busy. He's a very different character in that episode because he's stressing out because he doesn't want anyone to think he's touching the kids. So he's going to great lengths to make you aware that he's not touching these children. It's fine. It's all above board.
But speaking of the children, that's a terrible segue. But we do get a little bit more of the birth certificates. But the thing is, like we've mentioned, of course, several times throughout both movies, that they don't bother trying to pepper in little, like, oh, here's a nod to, something in the comics or something like that. But in this, like, you think, would it have killed them to throw in, like, Grayson, Richard or something, just so people would be like, it's Dick Grayson's birth certificate, like, just a little something. They feed people. Yeah. But they're like, no, we don't do that here. These are all boring names.
Do you think it's because they just hired some intern and here's a stack of 200 prop birth certificates? You've got to make up names for all of them, and you've got half an hour before shooting. Go.
I hadn't thought of that, actually. It could be that. It could be. Couple that with the fact that Tim Burton genuinely didn't care, like, to do that. He didn't care to have references to the outer world. That didn't enter his mind for a second.
I think maybe it's like because it was a different time. But even like if someone was given a job, like you said, Kit, I can imagine like a studio intern, but like, I'm working on a Batman movie. They've just let me just write down a bunch of names. You think they would be like, I'll put in like a nod to like, I don't know, friggin' like Clark Kent or maybe not someone who would have been born in Gotham. Like even like friggin', I don't know, like put in, again, just the most obvious one to come to me is Robin. It's just like, why not put in Robin's name? And it's just like, no, unless he was given explicit instructions, don't put in names. Don't put in any names that people might know. Don't do any cute references. Like, all right? Just boring names of people. You don't even need to know them. Just like, whatever names come, like Bob Smith. There you go. There's a name. Go, run, do that.
But we cut then to the Batcave, and we get a swarm of critters flying around.
I reckon they're bats.
Yeah, they very possibly could be bats. It would be an odd coincidence, but they look like bats.
It could be the Starlings from the Gobantog Caves where they collect bird nest soup every evening. Many thousands upon thousands of starlings come in, and many thousands upon thousands of bats fly out, and they sort of swap. And the starlings live on the the starlings make a bird's nest soup. I think we talked about this last soup minute when he was eating the bird's nest soup.
Yes, we did. Here's a question, because I'm a vegetarian, but not a vegan. And I know you're often a vegan, Kit.
Yeah, if it's free, I'll eat dairy. If
Would.
it's not, my morals are capitalist morals in that respect.
Well, would bird's nest soup be vegan?
Because
Because you're taking from an animal, but it's not an animal's body.
I think that if you're very technical about it, then it's not vegan. But they have, I think they've got strict rules in place that they can't be taken while they're in use or while they're.
Yeah.
I think the birds are protected or something. So really, I think it's once they've been abandoned. So, if you don't care about the fact it's actually bird spit and a product of the animal, and you only care about whether it's interfering with the bird, then no, I don't think it does interfere with the bird.
Well, to be honest as well, I mean, is eating an animal's spit any worse than eating its, arse? Really? I mean, it's not, is it? You shouldn't be picky.
Kissing a starling.
Oh.
Would you kiss a starling on a night out?
Well, depends, depends if it had taken me for dinner.
That just sounds like that's the upcoming title of Kit's romance novel, Kissing a Starling.
That's why he's on here secretly. He's trying to plug his new romance series. Mills and Boone, eat your heart out.
Said I wanted to go out with a darling, and there was a miscommunication.
But
actually, no, wait. That reminds me. Sorry to interrupt. That reminds me. I've been playing this game. I've completely forgotten what it's called. Jesus.
Noughts and crosses.
Cut this bit. Yes, noughts and crosses. No, I've been playing this game. What's it even? Hatoful Boyfriend.
Oh, the pigeon dating sim, is that?
Yeah. Now, you are a pigeon. No, sorry, you are a human being who goes to a school for pigeons. And it's all about, it's a visual novel, a Japanese romance visual novel where you have to try and find love and friendship with the pigeons. So you have to chat to people, well, pigeons, see who takes your fancy. I'm leaning towards at the moment the childhood friend. He seems very nice.
Is there somewhere listeners can tune in to hear the ongoing saga?
I could do a podcast.
They just follow the trail of breadcrumbs.
But everybody, check out Hatoful Boyfriend on Steam.
Oh, so we won't be playing it in the Batminute Discord or anything.
Well, if I started using that Discord more than once a month, then maybe.
That's the thing, though. Yes, of course, we do get a shot here of the Batcave, the new Batcave. This is
a lot
very
bigger,
different from,
I would say.
Yeah, giant. It actually looks way, way better. Because not that there wasn't anything that much wrong with the previous Batcave, but this just looks way, way cooler. It does have a kind of slightly frustrating thing in that, of course, much like the Death Star, no railings. Bruce Wayne, he's got time to put those lights in the friggin' floor, but no time to put up railings.
Yeah, he comes back concussed and staggering from a fight. It's just asking for trouble. And how does he get between these platforms?
Those platforms are so annoying. It's just they're almost touching, but they're just not. So is he having to go to the edge and then jump over every time? It's just build a little mini bridge or something, dude. Come on.
No, he wants to feel like he's playing a Lego video game. And falling off the platform 150 times if you're lol.
I guess this could have been in '92. This would have been the heyday of Super Mario Brothers, though. So maybe he is getting out of the Batmobile, going to the computer where they're like,
do.
Usually that little stalactite coming down from the roof there. It's got a box usually at the end of it. He punches that in his way past or something. Oh, is it stalactite or is stalagmite going down, or is it stalactite going up? Which is the? Does anyone know offhand?
I believe it's stalactite going down.
Yes. Thank you, Google. Stalactite goes down.
The stalactite, then. I hope I said stalactite. So,
Yes, you did. You did.
yeah. And yeah, of course, then, not the only thing, going down in the Batcave. Because we do have Bruce Wayne here, like he's looking at periodicals on microfiche.
Also,
To the old microfiche machine that we saw on the, like, obviously, unless he stole the one from the Gotham Globe office.
He just.
in the background is also the only railing.
Yeah, why is the railing there for God? Oh, well, I suppose it's for Alfred.
Yeah, she's like, one railing.
Installing a chairlift.
Well, that's the thing, though, because there's so many goddamn stairs. Like, why doesn't he have, like, a dumbwaiter? Why doesn't he have a lift? Like, why is he making this old man bring down his dinner down about 1 million stairs?
Well, this is the same guy who makes an old man decorate his mansion and clean it himself.
You find out this is actually how, like, Alfred is actually, like, 300 years old. It's like, oh, just keep myself trim. This is how you do it, sir. Oh,
well, we've all got something to learn.
Oh. But that's the thing, though, because by the time he gets down there, like, not that, going in, we'll have, of course, the Vichyssoise coming up here in a bit. But it's like, I imagine he's just like, oh, it's cold. But it's like, it was hot at the top of the damn stairs. It took me 30 minutes to get down.
Alfred is on top form here. He's bringing a tray. Has he got a tea on there as well?
I think. Let's see. Have a look at what we can see on the tray. Because I think it does have a second. The soup, and then there's something under, like a little. Yeah, there's a cup. There's no teapot. Though there's tea, there is definitely a tea in the cup.
I would say it's tea. Yeah, maybe Alfred's just brewed it for him. Alfred will finish off the rest of the pot. He's an Englishman after all.
But then that's the thing, unless that tea is piping hot, and then is it likely to be, judging by all the stairs he had to walk down? But then it's going to be a weird combo of starter soup, and he does have something under, like I can't remember what you call it, the silver things to keep the heat in. There is a main meal there, so... But then that means Bruce having to drink tea with his soup.
Well,
like black tea
I often
with soup.
make a tea with my lunch, because then by the time I've eaten, it's at a nice temperature.
See, what I'm currently doing is I've got like a little teapot that does like maybe one. Well, I do have quite a big mug, and it's not. I'm talking about my face. I'm talking about my actual tea mug. But it'll do like one and maybe a third of a second cup. But like, so what I do is like I'll brew the tea first and then let it brew in the teapot while I'm eating my dinner. Then kind of have like a little rest period of just like, oh yeah. And then as soon as I finish eating the dinner, I pour out the tea because it's still piping hot. And then by the time it's cooled down, it's like, right, I'm ready for dessert now. And then I'll have dessert with the tea. But the actual idea though of eating soup with tea is weird to me, considering also that this is cold soup.
Yeah, and they're both two liquids, one you're eating, one you're drinking. That's peculiar to me.
Do you have any horse in this race, Kit, that you...
I'm with John on the drinking tea and eating soup. Do you eat soup or do you drink soup? Or is that if you have a cup of soup...
you eat it, but if it's in a cup...
Yeah, no, you'd eat it because it's got like, you can have chunks in it and stuff. And
is that
you could...
the defining feature? Is that the chunks or the vessel you keep it in? If you have a cup of soup, do you drink a cup of soup or eat a cup of soup?
I'd say you drink a cup of soup.
But if you put toast in a mug, you're drinking the toast?
Oh my God.
Because the toast is the solid, though. The thing is, like, the liquid that's got some sort of puree through it that you're eating with an instrument, like a spoon.
What about a McFlurry?
You eat a McFlurry. That's
through a straw.
That's ice cream.
Is that what? Okay, very thick. I don't know where milkshake and ice cream begins and ends, really.
Two of my favorite things, and they're very different, Kit.
I wonder though, like by the time, like if there is there some sort of dessert that is just melted ice cream, and then that's what Alfred comes down with later. He's like, yes, it's supposed to be melted, sir.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually like a full like chocolate sundae or something at the top of the stairs.
Affogato, where you pour espresso over ice cream. That's
Oh, it's good.
Oh, maybe that's what. Maybe he's actually got like a little espresso pot in his pocket, and he just brings down melted ice cream, and he's just like, "Oh, yep, there we go. That's what it's supposed to be like." So.
Everyone knows Bruce Wayne loves affogato.
Well, the thing is, with the espresso, he probably need that because he's going out as Batman. But
Well, yeah, he doesn't sleep, basically.
yeah,
Very rarely. He's up on his bloody microfiche all night, like a weirdo.
he's doing that thing too, where like it seems like he's kind of got his glasses down at the end of his nose, and he's looking at the stuff over the glasses. Like it's like you're supposed to be looking at them through your glasses, Bruce.
Yeah, I've never understood people who do this. Just put them on your face.
well, aren't they? Doesn't that mean that he's short-sighted, so he can see things close up without his glasses, but he needs his glasses on for longer distance?
But we've never seen him with the glasses for reading purposes. So it seems like he just gets them out.
Don't see Batman parading around wearing glasses, although it would be fitting with a bat sense of sight. Full bat suit and a big pair of glasses.
You could put that in the character quite well, actually, because he could just be wearing like goggles that have corrective lenses in when he's the bat. Like, so you could easily put that in the design of the costume. That'd be no problem. What was I going to say about this bloody microfiche? Oh yeah, so Bruce, he's looking into the Penguin, and he's reading a newspaper on his computer, looking at circus stories and whatnot. Because, you know, he knows what's up already. He knows it's the Red Triangle gang. So he's investigating this. But I loved this one thing here about the Gorilla Girl.
Oh, yeah.
That you can see.
Goddess of Terror.
Goddess of Terror. Yeah, that sounds horrifying. So I researched it. I thought, what is the Gorilla Girl then? Is that an act? Yes, it is an act. So thank you to the website Cult of Weird for the following, which is kind of a hint about what's to come. The Girl to Gorilla trick is an old sideshow act based on the principles of the vintage Blue Room or Pepper's Ghost Illusions. For decades, it mystified eager crowds in dimly lit tents as one of the top-grossing grind shows on the Midway. I don't know what that means. That sounds a bit sordid. But the audience would gather in front of a large cage. Inside was a beautiful girl dressed like a wild jungle lady, usually just recently captured in some remote and primitive region of the world. Is she the result of some freakish evolutionary blunder? Was she the subject of bizarre and cruel experimentation? No. The talker begins to lull the ape girl into a trance and beckon her through her metamorphosis. So basically he's distracting you, is really what he's doing. Because before the crowd's eyes, she would begin to grow hair and fangs, slowly transforming into a large raging beast. Don't know how. I couldn't find that part out. Then when the transformation was complete, an angry gorilla stood growling inside the cage, and it would burst through the iron bars, and everyone would run away and scream. That's quite an elaborate trick.
Yeah. Well, the thing, though, is you find out that that's the Uber boss above the Penguin or something. Is no, the Gorilla Girl was still waiting to come out.
If you had to choose who's the most threatening person we need to take down Batman, we've got the choice of Gorilla Girl or the Penguin.
Yes, I think I know who I'm sending. And why isn't she in the film? Like, why isn't she one of the gang?
I think we kind of cover it a bit. It'll be in the next minute as well. But it's like you find out the Red Triangle gang. This is we're discovering here that the Red Triangle gang was the Red Triangle Circus was a gang not dissimilar to the Red Triangle gang.
Remarkably similar.
Apparently, they've had a grand old tour going around, touring the country, and then coming back, returning to Gotham to be like, "Hey, we're back!" And well, of course, we find out then, I believe in the next minute, that a lot of them are like arrested and stuff like that. So we can assume maybe that the Gorilla Girl got taken out during that. Maybe like she was. Maybe she's been locked up or something.
What probably happened is they were facing a gang of armed police or something, and the Penguin's like, "Oh, I caught it! Quick, Gorilla Girl, do your thing, transform into a gorilla." And she had to sort of. I said, actually, see, it was actually just smoke and mirrors in a gorilla costume. I'm just a normal. Did none of you know this? We've been in the circus for 12 years, and you believed I was a gorilla.
Oh no!
But further the penguin, he'd be like, "Well, I am an actual friggin' penguin, man. So what? Of course I believed it."
Yeah, screw you, phony.
I have to say though, the pictures you get, like, because they look so old timey, they're very, very creepy. Like that one for the goddess of terror, Gorilla Girl, because it just has this guy standing staring at the camera in like a cape and a top hat and stuff. And it looks very kind of almost like Babadooky. It's like, oh, that's creepy. What's he staring at? And then you just kind of have that thing of like, yeah, you know, Bruce Wayne, of course, despite the fact that he's got the Batmobile right behind him, is having to use a microfiche machine. And then you also realize, like, well, this is all stuff that happened within the Penguin's lifetime. So this paper is less than 33 years old. So it's like, why does it look like it's from like 1910 then? Like it looks like it's
the
ancient.
Pictures must be intriguing, Bruce, because the text is just stock text, isn't it? If you read it, it's repeated over and over again and has no bearing on anything. But it must be really intriguing, Bruce, because when he gets interrupted with the fabled bowl of soup, and he eats it and spits it out. It's cold now, but point out Vichyssoise said it was supposed to be cold. And Bruce Wayne doesn't say anything. He just looks a bit confused, as if he's never heard of Vichyssoise, and goes back to eating. So he's been cooked every single meal for 30 years by Albert. And for the first time in his life, Albert goes to the effort to make him Vichyssoise that he's never had before and has never even heard of. It's Albert's first time making this meal, and all he gets is, it's cold. And he's been building up to this meal. He's probably been practicing it for a week upstairs.
Or a decade, even.
Yes, it's so difficult to cook that it's after 30 years he's got the courage. Or maybe
but it's not difficult to eat though, is it, Kit?
I'm sorry. It was tasty, and it was already cold. So
we should let the cat out of the bag of the fact that we, just to confirm, people might have guessed, we do of course have Vichyssoise. Made specifically by a friend of ours who is a top chef in a restaurant, and that's he is literally the head chef. So that's like he is literally the top chef. It's not just an accolade I'm giving him. And yes, we do. So we do have some that we'll try later on to sample exactly what it's like. But I do think of Alfred props though for his tray carrying technique, because I'm the friggin' 31-year-old man. If I'm carrying a tray with a bunch of stuff, particularly liquids on it, the hands would be like shaking and stuff, because you get that kind of the clinking of the stuff coming down. But he takes those stairs, not one sound, just like, yep, I'm so confident in my grip on this tray.
Like the Butler in Tomb Raider, then.
Chris Barry.
In Tomb Raider 2, that terrifying Butler used to follow you around. Well,
in the game.
Yeah.
I thought you meant in the movie for a minute. I was like, what?
That was the big thing in Tomb Raider 2, is that you could lock him in the freezer.
Yeah, does Bruce lock Alfred in the freezer for kicks? Is that a common millionaire thing?
That's how I picture millionaires to act on a daily basis, I'll be honest.
That's the thing, maybe you guys would know, because I remember way back when hearing, because I didn't have a PlayStation at that point, and I didn't have ready access to the internet in like the late 90s, or even probably the mid 90s when Tomb Raider 2 was out. But I remember it was always the thing, it's like, oh yeah, you can lock the butler in the freezer, and there's a cheat code that you can make Lara Croft take a shower. And have you guys ever heard that, or was that just like, that's schoolyard?
No.
The game ends with her about to take a shower and then shooting the camera.
Oh,
so maybe that's
they knew what they were doing. I think that was playing on the rumors that the first game had a nude cheat, which it did not. Can I just start? But every boy was like, "Oh yeah, you can make a naked." Like, no, you can't. Shut up.
I will say though, again, maybe because it won't be that big a spoiler, but spoilers for people who haven't played Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the latest Tomb Raider game. And that actually ends. I was very happy to see it with like Lara Croft back in Croft Manor. And for the first time in this new reboot of games, the Butler comes in.
Yes.
And even I was like, oh, it's him, it's the Butler.
Yes. I want a spin-off about the Butler.
The subject of spoilers as well. This soup reminded me of a fantastic short story by Saki in the Chronicles of Clovis. The Chaplet is, as your resident soup fan.
Not even a soup expert, soup fan.
Someone in a similar situation with Albert, dealing with a case of underappreciated soup, where it's been a while since I've read it, but a chef at a posh hotel is spent a great deal of time making a fantastic soup that's it's one of the greatest achievements of his life. And as it gets served, he stands at the doorway to the dining room watching all the great people start to dig into the soup. And just as they're about to, the violinist, who's essentially a session violinist, just the background music, plays a popular tune, and everyone loves the tune and pauses their soup eating just before taking the first mouthful to watch the violinist. And as he's playing, the soup gets colder and colder, and it ruined and ignored. And the chef, here's the spoiler, flies into such a rage at having his life's work and achievement ruined that he runs over, grabs the violinist, and hurls him, dunks him into the big tub of soup. And it's a matter of debate. Did the violinist dies instantly, and was it by drowning, or was it by shock from his vanity being destroyed, or was it being scalded to death by boiling soup, which is perhaps why Albert didn't immediately dunk Bruce into the soup. Is you can't do that with cold soup.
What a way to go, though.
Batman was saved by it being Vichyssoise.
I do like the idea though, like, because when you said, "Oh, maybe it was shock," I was like, "Oh, maybe it was shock from the trauma of being put in the boiling soup." But like, no, because his vanity was destroyed. It's like, no, that's what killed him.
To totally spoil it, the final line is whether the leader of the orchestra died from drowning by soup, or from the shock to his professional vanity, or was scalded to death, the doctors were never wholly able to agree. Monsieur Aristide Saucourt, who now lives in complete retirement, always inclined to the drowning theory. It's a beautiful story, and I'm just giving it all away. So,
oh no, that sounds incredible. We have to share some kind of. Is it free, or have you got to buy this?
Yeah, it's either out of copyright or I've accidentally pirated it. So I'll send the link.
Well, we'll share it in the group as long as we're not breaking any laws. Well, we can break one or two laws. I absolutely love how Bruce just accepts that this is cold, by the way. Once he's told, he's like, oh, okay, fine. And he just carries on. Like, oh, now he likes it. I think that shows a lot about his character, though, because like it did in the first movie a lot. He's not actually very cultured, really, when it comes to this kind of thing. He basically only eats for energy, and that's it. He's Batman. He hasn't got time to be a foodie. So Alfred just provides him with sustenance of his choosing.
Well, it indicates the insane degree of trust he just has in Alfred, where he's just like, yep, whatever you give me, I'll eat it. And it is slightly different from, like, because you imagine your modern day comic book Batman would be all like, he'd have his diet regimen so succinctly down, so he'd be in peak physical condition, and he'd have like the exact right amount of protein every day. And he had absolutely everything worked out to like the mathematical nth degree of like exactly what he needs to be Batman. Whereas this version of Bruce Wayne is just like, what's this? Whatever. He could have given him a friggin' like slice of fudge cake. He'd be like, all right, fine, whatever. Yep, I'll eat that. And then just like all
a bowl of fuel for the modern Batman.
Oh,
exactly
yes.
The same scene. It's cold. It's fuel, sir. It's supposed to be cold.
Oh, fine, okay. It will help with your gains.
What's that thing you have, John? The Arnold Schwarzenegger protein shake thing. Whatever.
Yeah, I've got that.
Maybe it has like a because the thing you had was huge. You must that was like 3 years ago, but you must still have some of that left because that was like friggin' could like do people about 10 years. That's
no. You need about I have to buy it about 6 times a year, maybe.
Holy crap!
For anyone who's not seen John, he's huge. Puts Arnold Schwarzenegger to shame. Muscles, nothing but muscles.
The thing is, if you've ever seen Terry Crews. Or a white version of Terry Crews. That's what John looks like. That's exactly him.
Oh my god! I like the way the people who have seen me are probably just like, what are they talking about? I mean, I'm not going to argue. I am in as good condition as Terry Crews.
But I mean, what else we got here in because the paper? We just have some very generic headlines. I do wonder, though, because it has 3 new westerns air this week, which I wonder if that's Tim Burton just taking a little knock at just the fact that, like, way back when he was a kid, I guess it was in the age of the western, where friggin' there's about 50 of them made every damn day. So and
90% of them are terrible.
Yeah. Although my dad loves all of them. That's what my dad, like, that's his days.
Same.
That's his retirement. It's just like he's got the satellite movie channels. You come in, no matter what, it'll be someday Randolph Scott on TV. He'd just be sitting playing his guitar. Like, I think I might have seen this one before, but whatever. And he'll just come in mid. Could be 3/4 of the way through. Could be right at the start. Could be right at the very end. He'll just still like, I'm watching this now.
This sounds like my dad. Exactly the same. And it doesn't matter if it's 10 hours long because they drag it out on TV for the commercials.
I think it's just like must have been like men or maybe just people of that generation. Maybe you're just like, we grew up on westerns, so of course that's what you watch now. But and then Tim Burton apparently having none of it. He's like, oh goddamn, 3 of them made this week. So 3 of them air this week. Sorry,
next generation are doing I don't know, whatever is the film of the moment. I haven't gone to the cinema for so long. What's a big film? The Fast and the Furious 19 minute. The newspaper will read, 3 new Nickelodeon cartoons air this week. And the host will be talking about their parents coming back. Like, they're watching Ren and Stimpy again every Sunday.
Oh, yes. And now you've given me the great idea that when the next Fast and Furious is out, I am taking you with me to see it.
I've never seen a single Fast and Furious.
You are missing out.
Bad Hollywood action films about cars. Is there anything worse?
It's amazing. I hate cars. I don't drive because I hate cars, but they're incredible movies. Honestly, each one gets more ridiculous than the last. In the most recent one, The Rock ends up pushing... he's driving a Jeep after a Russian submarine fires a torpedo, right, that comes up out of the ice and is skating along the ice towards, I think it might be towards Vin Diesel. So The Rock pulls up next to it in his Jeep and leans out and with his bare hands pushes the torpedo out of the way and into like the enemy.
One of those, when you've got a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So every problem has to be solved by a car.
Yeah, that's what they do. There's one point where they have to enter this enemy territory. So, of course, they need cars. But they have to go into a different country. So they parachute the cars out the back of a plane. So the cars have parachutes on them, and it's a practical stunt. It's not even CGI.
There's a American TV show called The Last Ship, where there's an apocalypse, and one of the last things on Earth is an American warship, and absolutely every problem has to be solved by a huge you can't say that this kind a huge warship. So there's a hostage situation. What can we do? It's okay, we've got the 12-inch guns. We'll just shoot something near the hostage to distract them.
It's like Nightboat in The Simpsons, though. Just like it's like, oh my god, they're escaping on land, Michael. Just like, don't worry. Oh no, Kit, they're escaping on land. Just don't worry, Michael. There's an inlet. It's like, oh, every week there's an inlet or a canal,
or a fjord.
A fjord.
That's probably where they got the inspiration for the program.
Probably is. Let's just do that. At the end here as well, we have Bruce discovering a story about a poodle lady, the world's fattest man, and an aquatic bird boy. Who could these characters be?
Okay, so when you've got the choice for who's to join your gang, and you've got Gorilla Girl or Penguin, at least I suppose Penguin's one up from Poodle Girl. Was it Poodle Woman?
Poodle Lady. Yes,
Poodle
the
Lady.
But she ends up being the best villain, I think.
Yeah, she features. She is a key member of the Red Triangle gang later.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what's her act though? Because again, strange aquatic bird boy. I get if you're having a it's ostensibly supposed to be like a freak show, and of course nowadays all that stuff will be like horrifying, just parading out someone who looks different, but like, hey, look at this. But like that's what they're going for. So I can understand the Penguin being a sideshow attraction, but the Poodle Lady is a lady with a poodle. She's not half lady, half poodle. So it's like,
well,
what's her deal?
It seems to be that she can kind of make the poodle do things, like which we'll see. She can make it perform at will.
Poodles were a popular circus attraction, weren't they? Yeah. The 1978 Ringling Brothers and Barnum Circus had Miss Anna with her pink poodles. For instance, there are many pictures online of disgusting dogs doing ridiculous stunts.
Don't you dare besmirch dogs. I know you don't like them.
Besmirching the way these poodles are dressed.
It's not the poodle's fault. It's the owner. There
are lots and lots of vintage poodle dancing online.
I think maybe it dances and stuff. That's what I was thinking, yeah. Because I've seen that on Britain's Got Talent. And well, not that I've watched that show, but whenever you see a clip of it, it's always a bloody dancing dog.
Now who's got a thing against dogs, John?
Yeah, I don't want to watch a dog dance for entertainment purposes.
A 19th century wood engraving of a man playing the fiddle whilst a collection of dogs dances.
And what's he done to those dogs,
a chained bear looks on forlornly.
Well, that's funny you say that, because when I said what's he done to those dogs, it made me think of when I lived in Pakistan. And often, I say often like it's a daily occurrence. Not a daily occurrence, but often, you would see at the side of the road, a man would have a bear chained up and he'd be making it dance. And the idea is you throw money in a bucket for him. And it's pretty much implied that he just beats the out of that bear. Which is awful. And the bear's scrawny, it's like underfed. Yeah, the poor bears of Pakistan. As well as being one of the most useful villains, I'm going to be honest, I think the Poodle Lady's pretty cute.
No objections to the Poodle Lady.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because Lol thought I was crazy for thinking Mrs. Miggins from Blackadder was quite sexy. She thinks I'm deranged for that, but no, Mrs. Miggins.
Lol attracted the Walken, for Christ's sake. So, who is she to judge?
Walken's handsome.
Well. What do you think, Kit? Christopher Walken, you reckon he's a sexy fella, or do you think he's a vaguely terrifying presence that haunts all our dreams?
Or both?
It's the eyes. Perhaps if he didn't have that, actually, and the hair. If you take away the eyes and the hair, there's not too much really left of a person, is there?
No, he's wonderful.
Looking at young Christopher Walken, there's a very good black and white picture. I've never realised quite how much higher one of his eyes is than the other, though.
Oh no, you've upset me now. That's all I'm going to notice for the rest of the damn film.
Quite considerable. He's so close to being good looking. I'll give him that. When he was younger,
Chris, runner-up prize for almost being good looking.
The thing is, he's really close to being very good looking, which is the odd thing. You'd think that being very close to being very good looking would be good looking, but somehow he pole vaults over good looking and almost makes very good looking and skews himself on the pole, I think.
Oh no, I was going to defend him, but that was too good. Bravo.
But yeah, that's all I really got for this minute. Beyond, of course, what's to come.
Oh, yes. And what is to come? Oh, we're going to eat the soup. We're going to eat the soup. But someone's not going to be eating the soup because he's already eaten it. But two of us will be eating soup.
I won't.
So stick around after we wrap this up because it's going to be the most thrilling thing ever to grace Batman.
I'm afraid from saying what the soup was like, so I don't give your listeners any more spoilers.
Oh.
I think you've already said that it was tasty several times.
Oh, have I? I haven't said in what manner of tastiness. Was it salty soup? Was it accidentally served hot? We'll find out.
We will indeed. It's exciting stuff. But before we depart, off to eat our delicious, delicious food. Kit, one last time, would you like to tell our listeners where they can find you and your wonderful output?
If they search for me, being Rat Bit Kit, in quotation marks, otherwise you get medical advice on what to do when attacked by a rat. If you search for Rat Bit Kit online, you will find links to us. I think we're on Facebook, Bandcamp, and SoundCloud. Accordion, bass, and cajon, rotten roll. I like music, but it's missed the pole vault and joined Christopher Walken in not quite being there.
But I appreciate it all the same, much like Christopher Walken. It is wonderful, wonderful music, and I'm not being biased because Kit does our theme tune. There's a reason we asked him to do the theme tune, because he's amazing and the band are amazing. So check it out.
It was free.
Yes, we're free, but we'll buy
Pay
you a
for my
drink.
exposure, damn it.
It's exposure. It's exposure. That's what it is. Because we're inviting you on this, multi-million-dollar podcast.
Paid in soup.
And you paid in soup. We gave you free soup. I say we did. We created the means with which to provide you with soup via the Top Chef.
Yeah, I don't often get to have Top Chef level soup. I normally have, from the tin of Mr. Hyde's.
Here's the thing. Campbell's soup isn't much of a deal over here, is it? It's more American.
Yeah,
That's
I think it's
true.
much more.
Yeah, it's all Heinz, and I'm not really into the Heinz. I'm into the fancier soups you can get now in the little plastic pots, like Glorious. They do some nice soups, nice butternut squash soups and things like that. So go, everybody, enjoy your soup. Prepare your soup. Get it ready.
Eat it
And
straight from the
after-
can for the
Eat it straight from the
cold,
can. Yeah.
cold experience.
Yes, you can join in with us. Get your Vichyssoise ready, because after this outro, we're back. We're going to be eating, eating, eating. See you then.
Next time, a flurry of doubt. Views of old news have left the bat bemused. Will a cruise and amuse through the snow that slews? Help as he chews and chews on a potential trouble that brews, while a faithful butler remains confused. Find out next week. Same bat pod. Different bat minute.
But as we alluded to there, we've actually got a good friend of ours, David Upson, who is the head chef of the restaurant in Liverpool, Lunia. So if you're ever in Liverpool, go to Lunia. It's a tapas place, but
Award-winning.
oh yes, they're very much so successful. They've began to franchise, and he's been with them since the very beginning. So he's integral to that whole success. And he volunteered very kindly to make us some Vichyssoise, because neither...
Or Vichyssoise, as it may also be pronounced. We've been told two different things.
Oh, there's another thing I discovered, because when I was talking to Dave's wife, Marion, who people might have seen on the listeners page, actually decorated the Vichyssoise with a little bat symbol made out of parsley. And wrote returns and cream at the bottom. Vegan cream, of course, because of the dietary preferences of both John and Kit here. And she kept saying, and Marion's very posh upper crust. I wouldn't say upper crust, but she's very well educated English woman, and a very posh accent. And she said she kept saying Vichyssoise, and I was like, oh, that doesn't sound. That's not the way Alfred says it. So crusty old upper crust British butler here, mispronouncing the friggin' dish. So
He's let me down.
as we find out now that actually it's all posturing by Alfred. He actually like maybe Bruce Wayne just like maybe that's why he hesitated when he's like it's Vichyssoise. Sorry, he's like, but he's mispronouncing it. What the hell, Alfred? And then he's like, no, I'm going to play it cool. But in his mind, he's like, I don't think this Alfred's who he says he is. And you'll find out then afterwards. He's like, oh, no, but sir, but all right, sir. Yes, I actually talk like this. I'm not posh at all.
Oh, we're on to you. We are going to sample it live on the air.
I'm not too sure whether to just have a normal spoonful or whether to put it in my mouth briefly, spit it back out into the bowl, and then have it, because that's what Bruce Wayne does. So
that's traditional.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how you're supposed to.
Maybe that's what he realized. That he's like, oh, thank God it's Vichyssoise, because this is the proper etiquette of eating Vichyssoise. Okay, so here we go to sample.
Here we go.
The Vichyssoise.
Exciting audio content. Ooh, that's nice. I like that. It's considerably thicker than I was imagining, but it does look thick in the movie.
Yeah, I know that it does look accurate in the movie. It's very, very nice. I do like this.
Yeah, I would eat this again.
Although it does very much taste like this is cold soup. Like that's the only thing is like.
Oh, I think that heating it might take away some of the thickness, which is what I'm liking. And it's basically like a potato and leek. And then what's this? Chives? Is that?
Yeah, actually, I should read out the actual, because we've sort of danded around it there. Yeah, it is. It's pureed onions, leeks, and potatoes, basically. And it's supposed to be in chicken stock, but obviously, again, for the purposes of you two guys, it's in vegan stock. But yeah, the history of the Vichyssoise origin is much debated. When apparently, though, it can be mostly traced back to the French chef Louis Diaz or Diaz. I can't tell anymore now after this whole Soise debacle. But apparently at the Ritz-Carlton in New York City, who grew up in Montmartre in the Allier department near the spa resort town of Vichy. And he's often credited for the reinvention of it, although, so we don't know where the exact origin is. But he said in the summer of 1917, he has many memories of his grandmother making him Vichyssoise. And I do wonder, though, at the same time, maybe that he actually just had, at one point, a can of Heinz potato and leek soup that he accidentally served to someone at the Ritz-Carlton cold. And they were like, what the hell is this? And he's like, it's supposed to be cold. And they're like, well, what do you mean? It's like, it's a new dish. Vichyssoise. Or it's not even a new dish. It's like, this is a traditional dish. Vichyssoise. Yes. Like, well, the guy later on is like, we can't find any record of this dish. It's like, well, I remember my grandmother making it.
Oh, it must be true then.
And again, I'm not going to lose sight of the fact that it probably was just potato and leek soup at the top of the stairs. And then by the time it got down to Bruce, Alfred's like, all right. And then the next thing is like, give him like a lamb chop. He's like, this is cold. And it's like, it's Lammy-soise, sir. It's supposed to be cold.
Well, I recommend it. I recommend it cold. This is very tasty. And I hope I am annoying all of you by eating soup in much the same way that Paul Scheer did on Star Wars Minute eating a sandwich.
We are trying to instigate our own sandwich gate because he's still never. If you go on the Star Wars Minute Listener Society, lovely people, always very good, very civil conversations on there. But there is still a black mark against Paul Scheer's name for audibly eating a sandwich on air when he was on the show.
And now there is against us too. Oh well, thank you for joining us, everybody, for this wonderful episode on this lovely Friday. And thank you for joining us for this bonus soup chat, because there's nothing more exciting than listening to people eating soup. It's great, isn't it? Join us again on Monday. As we said, we'll have a new guest. Sadly, we won't be eating any soup, but it's going to be thrilling all the same. See you then.